I want to take a minute or maybe a few minutes. I normally don't go into lengthy discussions, kind of divulging my inner thoughts and kind of musings that I've been considering or mulling over throughout the season. I figured that I could use this channel for more kind of demonstration and educational purposes, but figure what the heck. I've been thinking about this for several seasons now, two years in particular, maybe longer than that. Essentially, for several seasons, I've been mulling this over, this particular thing I want to talk about, and I haven't really come to any epiphanies. I haven't really arrived at a place where I feel like yes, that's it, or I'm at kind of an inner peace with it in a sense. It's still I always kind of chew on it, and I'm always skeptical of it. I'm always wondering how can I make what decisions can I be making today to kind of arrive at some sort of a conclusion or to be in a better place of understanding for the future. So in particular, what am I talking about? I've been thinking about and pondering the whole concept of mite resistance, varroa resistance in our honeybees, and how to get there. And obviously, that's a whole big can of worms, and it's complex. It's vast. Is it even possible? Right? That's the big question. Obviously, for folks that are paying attention and folks who have, a vested interest, they're in their bees regularly. We all know that I can't be the only one, right? But we all know that our bees are up against it every year. We're having to work extremely hard. Every year it feels like we have to work a little bit harder, some years less. But if you took a decade or 5-year window of time in our bees, we could see that the course of time as we move along, and with time, we're working harder just to keep bees alive. And it's multifaceted, right? It's not just mites, it's environmental at times, right? Conditions in the environment and all that. So it's a complex system that we're working in. It's agriculture, I get that. So in particular though, in my little window, in my little dealings with my little apiary here, I have made it a central focus and commitment in my apiary to manage bees in a way where I could kind of breed in resistance. So historically, for those that don't know much about what I've done or have been doing in the past, when I set out to become full-time, which is, I don't know how long ago now, over 15 years ago, I made the decision in my breeding program to withhold treatments so that resistance could, in time, be kind of factored, baked into the bees. And you remember, not too long ago, we didn't have any way to to quantify resistance, at least on an individual, on a level where on a practical level, for working beekeepers to find out, how do you measure resistance? It wasn't there. Essentially, the best thing that I could do at the time, and a lot of other people that were interested in doing this, was to just withhold treatment and to rapidly propagate and breed from those that survived, the queens or the colonies that survived. And that's what I did. I did that to my surprise, I guess. I did it very well and was successful. And that's what I always tell people. I built my apiary from nothing, from just a handful of hives up to several hundred colonies, by not treating and just selecting for survivors and breeding from survivors and selecting from those that produced a crop of honey that wintered well. And I always factored in that process, because these queens are several seasons old, that there had to be something tagged along with all of that was keeping them where they were dealing with mites. They were figuring it out in a sense, right? So, as I just follow my thought here, after in 2021 was the first big reality check for me as it comes to anybody in farming, but obviously to me, where I was kind of positioned to be exposed to risk in a way that other people that are more conventional or more kind of traditional with their mite management scheme. So essentially in 2021, I had a 90% collapse in my apiary. And that changed a lot for me, right? A lot kind of with my management, and there was a lot going on behind the scenes that when it comes to like a family and a business sense that shaped the decision that I chose to make when it comes to managing the apiary with that collapse, right? So with a family, and now since the business has grown and I've become more dependent upon the income from the business, from the apiary, it became very clear to me that if I wanted to continue to do this, I need to start doing something different for treating, in regards to mites. So treating for mites was going to be a way to lessen the risk. All this is just common sense, right, folks? So you all understand what I'm saying here. So my point is, I went from building my apiary with no treatment, had a collapse, reassessed everything, and came back at it with a fresh set of eyes and some experience built into it, and said, here's the way forward. So here's what I have been doing. In the last 3 seasons since then, I've built my apiary up to its former glory, and even more so, and I'm amazed that I could do that. But here we are, and here's what I've been doing. I have been using one treatment of Formic Pro. I've been preferably 90% of the treatment is one treatment of the 14-day treatment option for Formic Pro. So that's 2 Formic Pro pads in a 14-day treatment window. I've been using this treatment on colonies that have produced a crop of honey, and we pull the honey in August, and we treat them according to observational symptoms of PMS. I used to do washes. I don't do washes anymore. It takes too much time. So to streamline everything, and maybe it's sloppy, but we take the honey off, we look at the brood nest, right? And trust me, I know that this is not the most efficient way to do it. It's just what appears for me at the time, with all the workload of just multifaceted management schemes and time, is just to do the best you can with what you have. So we take the honey off, we assess the brood nest. If PMS is a symptom, we treat them. If there's no PMS, everything looks healthy for the most part, we forego treatment. So my point is that we treat a percentage of the honey production colonies every year, and that changes from one season to the next based upon what we're seeing in those colonies. And this year, the treatments worked spectacularly. There were some colonies we just put the pads on, we put the Formic on, thinking whatever, it's a Hail Mary approach to it, and I came back getting the bees ready for winter, expecting to load this equipment that I kind of designated out these colonies that they're just going to collapse anyways. Came back, and there's a healthy population of bees that are on the verge of starvation because they missed the honey flow, because of the fact that they were delayed with population to forage, with the treatment and everything. But anyway, the treatment was successful. So here I am now. This year is kind of an anomaly with that, because for the most part, this population of bees we do treat is I'd say 50% of those treated actually bounce back and are viable into the next season. So here's another thing, right? I understand completely that what I'm doing is I'm putting a lot of expectation on one treatment at the time of the year where the mites are ravaging the bees. I'm putting an expectation that this one treatment is going to somehow fix everything, and that I'm going to have all these thriving, robust colonies of bees. I understand that, and I'm not expecting Formic Pro to do that, or Formic, the treatment that I'm choosing to use to do that. My point is that with this new hybridized way of doing things, I'm seeing better survival because of it, but at the same time, my big 100-mile kind of view of all this, the macro kind of idea in all this is we need to do better. I need to do better. We can do better, maybe. I'm always a skeptic on this one, but I think we can do better. I feel it every year. Even in the years of the bees look good, I still feel like this is just one year, and maybe the reality is that it's always going to be this way, because this is the way it is now, and I'm okay with that. But I guess I'd like to push the envelope and see if we can strive for something better. So if I can continue to foster in resistance and kind of always keeping an eye and a commitment towards breeding in resistance into my stock. The idea, my big idea here that I'm trying to portray to everybody is if at some point in the future, if queens are available for people to buy, beekeepers to buy, and we can put these queens, you can buy a queen from someone like me or anyone else who's committed to the same kind of cause for breeding for resistance. If you can get these queens and install them into your apiary, get them running, and you can see measurable, impactful things happening where perhaps, let's say you got a big operation, You got a lot of moving parts. Let's say hypothetically you're using six treatments in a season. And with these queens, you can go from 6 to 3. Or, I don't know, 6 to 2. Is that, or is it, or 6 to none? But my point is that, can we start to tip the scales? If something was to start to solidify, right? I guess that's my biggest thing. I have yet to see solidification of resistance. I'm just going to be blatantly honest. It's always kind of hit or miss in a subject in a population I'm managing. But if I can see solidification, broader numbers, and if I can start to say, yes, I see more than what I have been seeing. I see improvement. I don't just see kind of like this stagnated, yep, it's working, but this is the best it's going to get. Like, if I can start to see solidification, broader population, or broader numbers in population of resistance mechanisms happening in the bees, and then at the same time offering queens out to other beekeepers with different worldviews, for lack of a better description, but different worldviews on beekeeping, right? And they can implement those queens into their operations, and they can start to say, I have a radically, like, this changes the game. I can do things differently. What would you do? Like, how would you approach it, right? If you were to get a mite-resistant queen, hypothetically speaking, how would that change your operation? What would you do differently? My biggest question is, because I'm already kind of in a place where I'm not so dependent emotionally and economically on a lot of treatment, but for beekeepers who are, if you got these queens, and obviously let's say it was working, but in the first season, right? That's really the biggest thing. Like, in the first season of using these queens, how would that impact your decisions if you could measure it? Like, would you go from 3 treatments to no treatments, 3 treatments to 1 treatment? Would you monitor and make sure that obviously everything's working, obviously making sure everything, it'd be wise to monitor to make those decisions. But let's say you were monitoring and you were seeing, spectacular results, would you forego treatment anyways? Because that's my biggest thing I've been thinking about. If we had resistance, is the industry even ready for it? Because we have, for lack of a better way to describe it, almost become so dependent upon it. Rightfully so, but if we had it, would the industry be ready? And does the industry even want it? Want resistance in queens for varroa mites? And again, this is a big thing, right? It's not. I'm not looking for. I'm not thinking we're going to arrive at this, or even. It's just something I've been thinking about. It's always on my mind as I'm working in the bees, and one season to the next. Like I said, for the last several seasons, this has just been what I've been pondering. So anyways, welcome to a little 15-minute chat in my head. Leave any comments. Let me know what you think, and I'll do my best to get back with people. And as I close up here, I appreciate anyone who's watching, and I apologize personally to anyone who I have not gotten back to. In this season in particular, I've gotten a lot of emails from folks from all over the world, all over the country. And I felt like there's a handful of people that had slipped through my email list, and there's been several phone calls that I haven't been able to get back to. So I apologize personally if you had reached out to me and I have not gotten back to you. If you were to reach out again, I'll do my best to get back with people, but I do have quite a busy schedule at home, with the family and at work. So I do my best to get back with people. And if I have forgotten you, please forgive me, and I'll do better next time. But anyways, just wanted to share these thoughts with you. Have a good day.